We're standing up here in Crawford County. My whole life, just flows down through here. We own the land on both sides of the road right here. We farm about 7,000 acres. There's about 370 acres that are irrigated. We're standing out here in this field with the cover crops. It's in the afternoon. They probably got their bellies full. They're just hanging out in the sun. Fresh green grass, much like a salad bar, after it's been picked over so many times, it's not that great. And that's probably the way they feel about the pasture they've been in all summer. And then as the weather gets colder, they'll be pretty happy to move into those corn stalks. So we used to use like straight rye. So now we have gone to 2/3 oats, 1/3 rye. 3 reasons. The more species that you have in your cover crops, the better off it is for the soil health. The oats give you more growth in the fall, which provides us better cattle feed now. The rye will come back and you'll have a cover crop in the spring, but it's only 1/3 the amount of rye, so it's not as hard to terminate and plant into, creates less challenges. We're trying to improve soil health, but the reason we're trying to do that is to improve our corn crop, improve our soybean crop.
Farmers, by their nature, a lot of them are pretty close to their vest, very conservative, very slow to adopt things at times. The carbon credits thing and stuff through Truterra, he was the first one to kind of get on board with all that stuff. He's really helped a lot of guys understand it a lot more and be more comfortable with it.
In a lot of ways, we're returning to the way that my grandfather or my great-grandfather would have farmed, but we're doing it with new technology, new metrics, like the field platform. My grandfather or great-grandfather knew it worked, but now we know why it works. And when you know the why, you can expand on it. So we're using new age technology with old-fashioned or old-school ways of farming, and it's all coming together and it's improving my return on investment.
The field parent platform being fully integrated with the Truterra sustainability tool, it's great because the farmers' data that we have, we can give kind of our growers kind of a report card, so to speak, on where they're at sustainability-wise. We look at different things like, okay, here's our score now on this particular field, and if we add cover crops, we can simulate that score, and so where does your score go if we do this?
A lot of the tools, the spider chart is kind of intriguing to me from the data side. We use data a lot.
There's many environmental benefits from the sustainable practices that we do, and it all relates back to carbon. It's the most important element that we have in farming, and I think it's lost on some farmers. So the more carbon I put into the soil, the more microbes I have, the more plant available nutrition I have, the better my yields are. And no-till and cover crops just keep that going, and I'm packing as much carbon in there as I can. The more carbon I can put in the soil, the better my yields will be. There's so many byproducts that are in agriculture now, and one man's trash is really another man's treasure, be it the DDGs for cattle feed or the soy holes for the cattle feed or the plant food. Last year's soybean crop is this year's fertility. Last year's corn crop from a DDG goes to make ethanol, and now we're using it to feed the fat cattle. It makes me feel good because that's very sustainable or even regenerative.
He's really willing to help anybody that's willing to listen, and I think that makes him very unique to agriculture in general.
XtremeAg is really a peer group. We have Damian Mason, he's our podcaster. We have our own podcast now.
Welcome to the Business of Agriculture. So glad you're here. We've got a great show for you today because I got a great guest, Kelly Garrett of Garrett Land Cattle Company out of Denison, Iowa. Welcome to the Business of Agriculture, Mr. Garrett.
Hi, Damian. Thanks for having me on today. I think the practice most commonly and we have subscribers from around the country and even some subscribers in Canada. We're in our 3rd year now, and it's exceeded our expectations probably 5 or 10-fold. It used to be when I was young that farmers would work together and neighbor back and forth was the term. And now the size of operations has grown, the competition for land has grown, and we've lost some of that aspect of the previous generations. We all have sons and daughters coming into our operations, the next generation, so we're all working to make it better. Yeah. My biggest, most important job is to build an operation that my 3 sons can come back to. The fact that all 3 of them chose to come back to the farm is like winning the lottery to me.
You can move now.